Welcome into the PHNX Coyotes podcast, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Leah Merrill. Craig Morgan is still off in the wilderness somewhere, so I'm joined today by Steve Peters live from his hotel room in Tampa Bay, Florida, with some hot and humid weather. Petey, how are you doing?
You know, I miss when they say it's a dry heat in Arizona. They're not kidding. This sucks. Like you got to change shirts 4 or 5 times a day. You're in the shower every time you go outside. I just can't. I can't handle it. Can't handle
Yeah,
the
I
humidity.
don't think I'd be about that life either. I hate being hot and sweaty more than anything. But for those who've been following us on Twitter, they've seen some PD at the playoffs content with PD on the road. But for those who don't have Twitter or weren't on Twitter over the weekend, PD, why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about what's been going on so far and how it's been being on the road for the Eastern Conference Final?
Well, I will say this: I miss home already, and I used to travel all the time in my old job, and I don't know. I guess I'm not used to it. I don't know. I've been gone for 3 games. Like I've got I've got a long way to go. God forbid this thing goes 7 and the next one goes 7. I could have 11 more games to do. Um, but it's real exciting to be around the playoffs. And I think it's been a while since the Coyotes were there. And you can go back to the 2012. When you're in a playoff city, when the games are going on, there's a buzz. Like there's excitement. There's people wearing the team jerseys, and you see signs in store windows, and it's just exciting. And it kind of gives you, the hope of what could be or what's to come in Arizona. And I think that's the part that I look at how involved this community is in Tampa, at least at following their teams. All the storefronts have Go Bolts or Go Lightning, and all people have Tampa Bay flags hanging out their windows of their apartment complexes. It's a really fun hockey community right now. And that's the part that I think that you can get excited about when you look to Arizona, and especially where they're talking about building the Tempe Arena, where they're actually talking about building a community. And you can actually envision that area being able to support the playoffs and have people living there. And it just gives you hope for things to come.
Love it. Well, we have some behind the scenes photos of you on the job. So let's show everyone your office. This is what it looks like. It's
Yeah, there it
no
is.
PHNX
Okay.
Studios.
So people are like, "Oh, you're at Madison Square Garden. That's awesome. Is it cool?" That's it. That's as close as I got to inside Madison Square Garden. There's me at my office in Tampa, sweating. My just terrible outside in Tampa. And there's my office in Tampa, looking at my trucks there. There's me sitting at my desk, getting ready to work. And do you think I know how to run any of that shit in front of me? Any of those buttons? No, like no clue. Every 2 minutes, I got to ask somebody what something does, and I'm talking to the wrong guy in the headsets because every button's a different person, and surprisingly overwhelming. Oh, here's my walk today. Sweating again, and I see a sign because I'm by the water. It says "Warning alligators." I'm like, really? Like, really? That's a thing? Like, I got to worry about that now? So I turned around and went home. That was the end of my walk. That's
Wow.
that's that's a little bit of my journey. It's so weird because I'm just driven by who wins these games. So before I went to New York, it was going to be Carolina. It's Carolina, New York, Game 7 at night. Whoever wins, that's where I'm flying to the following morning. So we're going to Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina is way different than going to Midtown Manhattan. I mean, just the vibe, the life, getting into the airport transportation, all of those things are so much different. So now you should see the Midtown Manhattan vibe versus the Tampa Beach vibe. Not beach, that's not fair. Water vibe. But buddy, talk about different. Like the streets of New York. I'm sure a lot of our listeners have been to the streets of New York. There's a lot going on. I mean, I don't care if it's 3 in the morning, 8 in the morning, noon. There's something going on in New York City. Tampa, way more chill, way more chill, relaxed, little tourist area. So it's a dichotomy, and unfortunately, I have to get back on a plane Wednesday morning, fly back to New York. If New York does not win the next 2, I would be getting on a plane. Was it Friday? I don't even know what days anymore. Friday, flying back to Tampa, and if they win, I'll get up the next morning and fly back to New York
Oh, God.
before ending up probably in Denver. So there's a long way to go. A lot of air miles, a lot of hotels. But you know what? It's a blast. I'm having fun, and I'm luckily enough. My schedule has worked out that I've got to do this
I
because this is the
know.
fun part.
That's
And I got the
awesome.
cool thing coming out tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow we'll see my
Yep.
latest PD at the playoffs.
Yeah, so if you missed any of the videos, search the hashtag Pete at the playoffs on Twitter. We've been posting Petey's journey throughout this playoffs. And before we dive into actually talking about the playoffs themselves, speaking of the difference between New York and Tampa, how about Petey had a celebrity spotting at the New York airport?
Yeah, it's so I'm getting ready to check my bag, and there's Colin Jost from Saturday Night Live checking in. You know, and I'm trying to have my phone better.
I'm so impressed.
Again, I wanted to do a selfie. I think he probably would have said yes. And I know this looks like I'm a long way away, but the people there left the counter, and so he and I were standing right next to each other at the counter, and I'm just like, oh, be cool, get a picture, ask him for a picture, and I just didn't. But he was unbelievably nice and polite to everybody there. Yes. Now that would have, I was looking, believe me. And I'll say this too. First of all, he was unbelievably nice to the people checking me. He was super cool. So that really impressed me because I really like his work on Saturday Night Live. But the step farther, that was checking into LaGuardia in New York. And if people have been to LaGuardia before, it's an old airport that's not particularly nice. That's different. That was the first day of the brand new terminal. And I mean, literally the first day at LaGuardia, everything was brand new. Like everything, every seat in the terminals was brand new. It smelled like a brand new house. It was phenomenal. It was so nice. By far the nicest airport I've ever been in. But I'm sure if I go back there in 2 weeks, it'll be trashed. So I'm glad I got to enjoy it the first day because it was super cool. The downside of the new airport, everything is automated. So when you go to the place where you get your water and your snacks, you know, for your flight, there's not a person there. You have to do it yourself. And then when you go to Starbucks, or not Starbucks, the place where you get it wasn't Starbucks, it was a regular Starbucks, but you can go to another place for breakfast, but you had to punch in your whole order. I got in line, I got up to the thing expecting for a person to wait on me, and they didn't. I looked at the terminal, like, okay, not going to work for Petey. So I turned around and I left because I wasn't going to deal with it. I'm just not that techie. So I skipped breakfast in LaGuardia because I couldn't figure out the terminal. But it's really exciting. I'm having fun. It is fun seeing really, really important hockey at a high level. And again, it's just start to hope at what could be, because you had teams like Edmonton not supposed to be there. You know, you talked about the New York Rangers are way ahead of their rebuild. There's hope. Like this could be. There's no reason this can't be Arizona in 3 or 4 years that you can jump, get on a run, get the right goaltender, get your young kids flying, and Phoenix could be there. Like Tempe, is it going to be the Tempe Coyotes? Have we decided yet?
I think it'll stay the Arizona Coyotes. But can you imagine, and we've talked about this before, a playoff game in the 5,000 seat ASU arena? Electric.
We have discussed that here during the playoffs. I have talked to people about Tempe, and I hope to get some reactions recorded here in the next week or two while I'm still out here. Surprisingly, by players and coaches, everybody's all in. Like there isn't the negative comments that we had heard in the past. People are excited about it. People are thinking the location is great, close to the airport, close to restaurants, hotels. Everything is going to be new. People seem to be pretty excited about it. I talked to the TV people here that do the national TV broadcast, and they have a concern. Like they don't know when they set up for a playoff atmosphere here, they bring in extra cameras. There's more toys, they call them. So you have more stuff going on. And they said, I don't think we could shoot from there. Like, I don't know if we could have a true national broadcast inside that arena. So it's something to think about.
Interesting.
And we talked about those big milestones. Like, does Ovechkin break his record in Tempe? I tell you what, the national media hopes he does not. Because that wouldn't, and I'm sure Gary Bettman's sitting there, God, please, no, not Tempe. It'd be great in the new building, but just not at ASU.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some playoff hockey. That's why we're here today. And let's start off in the East, because that's where you are, and you've been literally watching these games closer than almost anyone. And the New York Rangers lead the series 2-1 after Tampa won yesterday in the last 41 seconds of that game on a thriller by Andre Palat, who, by the way, was a 7th round draft pick by the Tampa Bay Lightning. So you want to talk about hope? How about hitting on draft picks in later rounds who come up for you in big moments? There's a perfect example. Craig always talks about the comparison between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Coyotes in terms of the scouting staff. So Coyotes fans, this is the scouting staff that we now have on our side, and drafting someone like Palat who's getting a last minute game winner. Petey, what are your thoughts on this playoff series so far?
Well, it's funny. You talked about, Daryl Plandowski, who now scouts for the Coyotes, scouted a lot of these players and drafted these guys. So this is a team that's built through the draft, and when they're on and when they're good, they're really good. Unfortunately for them, and fortunate for the New York Rangers, those first 2 games, they didn't play well. They didn't execute. They didn't skate. They were last to pucks. They didn't win 50-50 battles. Andrei Vasilevsky, who has been a world beater, was shaky at best in those first 2 games in New York. And, Craig does not love the New York Rangers. I'm telling you, they're a good hockey team. They're quick on pucks. They're fast. When they can use their speed, they're a dangerous hockey team, and their power play is world-class because they have so many options. They got away with the 2 wins in New York because Tampa was not playing Tampa Bay hockey. And Tampa, after 9 days off, it looked like they were shaking off rust. They just didn't have it. When they came back home yesterday, all of those things reversed. They were first on pucks. They were heavy on the forecheck. They didn't allow New York to get through the neutral zone with speed. Vasilevsky was amazing in this game. Even when the Rangers got opportunities, he was there as a great backstop that we knew he could be. And the other thing for Tampa that was really important is their best players were their best players. So Stamkos, Kucherov, and Victor Hedman, who took a lot of heat the first 2 games because he really struggled in New York. He was amazing in this game. Like, he was physically, he defended well. He had great sticks in the D zone, but he added to the offense. He has 2 assists. He got an assist on the game winner. He was an absolute beast in this game. If Tampa's going to win, those players need to continue to do that. Rangers are going to do it by committee and on the power play, and Shesterkin. He had 49 saves last night. It's the most shots Tampa's ever had in a playoff game in their history. If they can do that every night against Shesterkin, you can only make so many saves. So we'll see what Tampa Bay team shows up tomorrow. I wouldn't count the Rangers out quite yet. They're really good at home, and they're back in Madison Square Garden for Game 5. Game 4 is a toss-up. You just don't know who's going to show up. I'd like to say that the edge goes to Tampa now with the way they are playing. But you brought up a good point in the end of this game, another game that ends in the last minute.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's been really exciting. I definitely think it's been more exciting than the NBA playoffs that have just been blowouts on either side. Like, there hasn't really been close competitive games in the NBA playoffs. The NHL playoffs have not disappointed, at least in the later rounds. I know there were some more multi-goal game winners in the first round, but lately it's been the last minute has been unbelievable. So that's been great. Also, in yesterday's game between these 2 teams, besides that last minute goal, all of the goals were power play goals.
It was unreal.
Unbelievable. And then you look at the game before, Tampa has had so many power play goals. So you talk about the Stars stepping up. Kucherov turned it on yesterday, and not only did he have the goal, but he had like breakaway chances, shot attempts. So you really saw the wheels kind of start to turn for them. And even in Game 2, they were more in it, I think. And, they had that length of time off. So maybe it just took some time. And to me, that's when you see the championship caliber of this team really rise to the occasion. Like, they're down but not out. So it'll be interesting to see. My prediction is that they're going to win again at home, go back to New York. New York's going to win. I think it's going to be
Don't, Leah. No. Maybe I'll just stay here in Tampa and wait for a game. I'll call in sick or something. But the other thing with that series, too, is if Braden Point, their top centerman, who has been out for the majority of these playoffs, if he returns, he adds another element that really helps his Tampa Bay squad. I mean, with his skill and his speed, boy, he is hard to defend. He's on the ice. He skated again this morning in practice. He's ruled out for Game 4. And I think he's day-to-day, but if you get into Game 6 and 7, maybe he's another weapon Tampa Bay can employ to get on the offensive side of the puck.
Another change that Tampa made in their lineup is former Arizona Coyote Riley Nash made his debut with the Lightning in the playoffs. His first game came in round 3, but did you notice him at all yesterday, or was that, do you think, more of just like they're trying to switch things up to get something going?
Well, since the injury to Braden Point, they've been playing 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. They've been playing the extra defensemen. I think yesterday they wanted to mix it up against the Rangers and try to go with 12 forwards, and so he draws into the lineup. He hasn't played in a while. He's been going out for warm-ups every game when they decided if they were going 11 or 12 forwards. So he goes out, takes warm-ups, and he gets scratched. He tried to bring energy. He didn't get a lot of ice time. He was just a little over 5 minutes. The biggest play he's involved with in the game literally could have cost the team the game. Third period, he bowls through the goaltender, and that could have been a problem taking a penalty late. But
they would have ended very differently.
Yeah. So you know what, he adds energy. That's what he does. He tries to defend both ways. He didn't get on the score sheet. He didn't give up a goal on the ice, and you know that's a win for him. I would think with Tampa Bay getting the victory in Game 3, I would anticipate he plays again in Game 4. I think they'll go the same way with 12-6 after getting the win. So I would expect him to play again, and only as he plays more, he'll get better and be a more integral part in the game. So I would expect that to go as he continues. But for his first game back, you know, you just try to go out and be even, and he was. So it's a win for Nash in the first game for Tampa.
Absolutely. Well, for tomorrow night, the Lightning are favorites, -180 money line. The over-under set at 5.5. This definitely has been a lower scoring series than the series in the West, which we'll get to in just a second. That over-under for tonight's game is set at 7 versus the 5.5 tomorrow. So it's just unbelievable to see that. And the Avalanche, even though they're on the road, are favorites in tonight's game. We'll get to that series in a second, but if you want to get in these odds now before they change, you know, as injury news comes out, like the sportsbooks, DraftKings is so on top of changing the lines, but it makes it really fun because you can bet live in game and, you know, player props and props by period. You can guess the final exact score. You can guess who's going to score first. You can do anytime scores. There's so much that you can do on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. It makes it so much more fun to watch the playoffs, especially if you don't really have a rooting interest. You know, make a rooting interest by betting on it. It's been really fun watching the games actually with people who have money on it. So get in on the action with the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and the NBA Finals are also going on. So tons of stuff to bet on. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PHNX. Make any $5 bet during the NBA Finals and get $150 in free bets instantly. That's promo code PHNX only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Wyoming, 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado, New Hampshire, 888-789-7777. Did I say 3 sevens or 4? This is a mouthful, everyone. Or visit, oh my goodness, ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, 1-877-770-STOP. Oh my gosh. In Louisiana, 877-8-HOPE-NY/text in New York. Visit opgr.org in Oregon. Call and text the TN Red Line, 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee. Oh my gosh. Or we should do a competition about like who can read these the fastest. 1-888-532-3500 in Virginia. That's 21 and over, 18 and over in Wyoming. Physically present in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming only. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details.
Wow. And that's the end of the show today. And actually, I think it rolled into tomorrow's show. Holy cow. Is that the whole month?
Oh my gosh, Dan has such a good idea. Pre-record it. We just play the video.
And played at 1.5 speed.
You might be onto something.
That's how they do it on the radio. They played at 1.5 speed. So pre-record yourself doing this, 1.5 speed. Call it.
I love it. Well, thank you everybody for holding tight with me on the disclaimers in that DraftKings read. Let's move on to the West because this one could end tonight. Potentially, the Oilers are on the verge of being swept by the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche play in Edmonton tonight and currently are undefeated on the road this playoffs. Lots of storylines in this series. We can get into any of them, but Petey, do you think the Avs complete the sweep tonight?
I don't know. One of the key pieces of this series is going to be Evander Kane sitting this game out. But on the other side, with the Avalanche, Kadri's not playing. So you take both of those guys out of the lineup, and now you got an even lineup again. So, gosh, I think Colorado wins it. I think they're going to sweep the series. I would look for McDavid and Draisaitl to leave it all out there. I mean, they're going to, if this is a night to take one of those guys as an anytime scorer, I think tonight would be the night. I know I talked to Sean DePaz about taking Draisaitl as the anytime scorer, and I wavered back and forth against him or McDavid, and McDavid scores in the first minute. And I'm like, oh, had the wrong guy. So I think both those guys get on the score sheet. I think this is going to be an over. I think Colorado still wins the game and they sweep it. Although I do anticipate this could be a tight game. I mean, this could be one of those 5-4, 6-4 games with an empty netter. I think Edmonton's going down swinging with what got him there, and that's offense. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a game like that. Kuemper's not playing again, as far as I know. So Francouz has been great, but tonight might be the night. I still think Colorado wins. I just think it's going to be a higher scoring game. And you know what? For Colorado, they don't care. Like, if you want to play 8-7, 10-8, as long as they win, they don't care.
So you're taking the over, is what you're saying.
I am taking the over.
Okay.
I'm going to take the over and McDavid anytime scorer tonight.
Okay. I like that. You could also parlay those together for better odds.
Yes.
I think a difference maker in the game tonight will be Mike Smith. In the game on Saturday, he had some amazing saves, but he also let in some bad goals. And it's so funny, like before the conference finals began, we said, oh, it's Kuemper versus Smith, and unfortunately Kuemper's been out with injury, so it's kind of been Smith versus himself, to be honest, because Francouz has given the Avalanche the best chance possible. He's played well, but Mike Smith is he gonna have a shutout Mike Smith performance, or is he gonna have a let's in a goal from past both red lines performance?
Yeah. See, I don't know with Mike.
The red line.
Honestly, you don't know. Like, he might be the best player on the ice again tonight. And again, what gets him involved in these games where he is at his best is when he gets involved offensively. I will say one thing Colorado has done, two things that Calgary didn't do. He's kept the puck away from Mike Smith, so Mike Smith can't get involved in the offense. And secondly, they've done a much, much, much better job of defending McDavid. I know he scored in the last game, but overall in these games, they're defending Edmonton's speed and their skill. I thought Calgary would do a better job. They're not. Colorado is. So again, that's part of the reason I give them the nod, but Mike Smith is the equalizer. Like, he can be lights out and win this, especially at home in front of that crowd. He gets fired up, and look what he did to Calgary in that building, how much that group of Edmonton Oilers fans were behind him. Yeah, I think he can win a game there, but I would anticipate more of the latter. I'm anticipating one of those Mike Smith games. He had a 2-pad stack the other game where he's sliding around. I anticipate more of that style of Mike Smith today, making the big saves, flopping all over the place, making more big saves, and letting in one that you go, ooh, gosh, I think he should have had that one. I'm saying that happens at least twice tonight, where you go, ooh, gosh, I bet he wants that one back. He'll be great. He'll make 30-plus saves, and he'll still give up a bundle.
Okay, interesting. Renegade Man in the chat thinks Colorado will win the series, but Edmonton can at least win one or two. I think another difference maker in tonight's game, and we'll see which way it goes, is Evander Kane is not in the lineup tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. He's been their leading goal scorer in the playoffs. He's, I think, still leading the NHL in goals in the playoffs. So that's a huge loss for them, not having Kane in the lineup. But I think, luckily Edmonton has a lot of offensive weapons. But I want to get your opinion on the Kane hit and the Kane hit on Kadri and the suspension for it. What you thought about the hit, and if you thought one suspension was not enough, too much, or just right.
It's hard. You look at the kind of player that Kadri is and how he takes Binnington out of the playoffs for St. Louis by running over the goaltender. And everybody's up in arms in Denver going, oh, he tried to get out of the way and he got pushed. And it's fine when it's their guy, but when it's the other way around, it's suspend him for the rest of the playoffs. And he did it on purpose. You kind of find the truth somewhere in the middle there. Kadri plays on an edge. That's the kind of player he is. I won't call him dirty or chippy. He just plays on the edge. That particular hit I think there's no love lost between Kane and Kadri. I think if they got an opportunity to finish a hit, they're going to finish a hit. I don't like when you do that 3 feet from the boards. I think that's incredibly dangerous. I think you can ruin someone's career, potentially change their life when you're that close to the boards. When you're seeing numbers, you got to pull up. I don't care if you're in Pee Wee Squirts or the National Hockey League, you got to pull up there. You can't finish your hit, especially follow through with your arms and your stick in a cross check. So I didn't like the hit. The suspension, I mean, it's the playoffs, and you don't want to take away their leading scorer for an extended period of time. I know that the NHL doesn't take that into account, or at least they say they do not. I think a suspension was warranted. I thought it might be 2 games. I think there's going to be some satisfaction from Colorado saying 1 is okay, we're okay. The bigger issue for Colorado is, will Nazem Kadri be able to come back in the playoffs at all?
Yeah,
if he can't play, he's a big deal.
Well, yeah, for him to already be ruled out for the series is really alarming. And I, hopefully for Colorado's sake, not for your sake. Hopefully the East series takes a long time, so he has recovery time. It looked like he was holding his hand. I read on Twitter that he left in a sling or something like that. So I'm really hoping for their sake it's not too bad, because he has 6 goals and 8 assists in 12 playoff games. And of course, he was like dynamite for them in the regular season. The big thing for Colorado in the last few years, or not even for Colorado, but just for Kadri, is he can't play an entire playoffs because he's either suspended or in this case injured, and then his team feels that and struggles without him. So I hope that it's nothing too serious and it's precautionary and he's able to come back in the Stanley Cup final. And I'm just going to go ahead and say I think the Colorado Avalanche will get there, whether it's tonight or later this week. But it's a big loss for them.
Yeah, I think you'd like to see, when you get to the Stanley Cup Finals, you want to see the teams have their best players in their lineup. You want to see the best goalies playing. You want to see their best lineup playing, because you really want to see. You don't want them to go afterwards and go, yeah, that team won, but they didn't have their goalie or their best player. No, let's make it best on best. Let's throw our rosters out there and let's see what happens. Like, I hope it doesn't look like Kuemper's going to play tonight. Francouz, they haven't announced it officially yet, but it looks like Francouz is going to play again. So we want to see Kuemper in the finals, and like the New York Rangers are for the most part healthy. Tampa Bay is missing Braden Point, which is a huge loss for them. But they both have their starting goalies. So when you look to Colorado being without Kadri, without Kuemper, they've already lost Girard for the playoffs at the back end. You're starting to go, oh shit, like these injuries are racking up, and maybe it's not the Colorado Avalanche team they thought they had going into the playoffs. Still playing fantastic, but if you build an NHL Stanley Cup caliber team, you want all of those pieces to be out there competing. So I think, hopefully Kadri's back. I don't know the extent of his injury. I haven't focused much on it or talked to anybody out there yet, but I will by the time we get out, headed out west. These are going to be some good series coming up. I still think Colorado gets over Edmonton, whether it's today or the next game back at Ball Arena. Both of these teams in the East, New York and Tampa, they're for real. Like, these are 2 really good hockey teams. And if you're sitting at home watching Stanley Cup Finals between Colorado and New York or Colorado and Tampa, that's a hell of a series. These are going to be really good hockey games coming up with some really good talent. I'm excited to get there to see where this gets to, but I think it's going to be fun to watch as a fan.
Absolutely. I think so too. Another thing that happened before Game 3 was Paul Bissonnette cashed in on a bet that he'd made, or not cashed in. Other people cashed in at his expense, which was that he had to shave his head, but leave the hair on the sides. His bet was with Ryan Whitney at the beginning of the season, whichever Alberta team would make it further in the playoffs, when he had the Oilers and Biz had the Flames. But you know what? Shout out to him for going through on the bet. Just like, if if you recall, Sean and Shane did by bleaching their hair blonde back in February. And Sean's hair is already back to normal. Shane still has the bleach. But I respect people who follow through on their bets, and it added some good entertainment value to the TNT broadcast as well the other day.
It was huge, and they did it live. Like, they shaved his head live on TV. Like, that was like a made-for-TV pay-per-view is what they should have done. Like, the amount of people watching that. I guess Twitter broke. No, it did not break, but it could have. It was pretty amazing. I do want to go, and I wish I had a picture of the look that Wayne Gretzky gave him when they're sitting back at the panel, like, what am like? I could just hear Wayne's thought bubble going, what am I doing here? Like, what is going on? Because I did question that part of it a little bit, and I thought he would shave the rest of it off today and go completely
No,
bald,
he
but
has
as
to
of
do
right
a
now,
week.
he has not. Is it a week?
Yeah, he has to do a week.
Did he think at any point doing this, I'm on national TV and maybe I should wait to fulfill
But I
my
feel
bet
like
obligations?
that's his brand, is just being outlandish.
Again, if he's on just spitting chiclets and he's doing that and the Pink Whitney and all those things, maybe, but he's still on national TV. Does it matter? Or is that just it? So we got it. So for the remainder of the TNT broadcast, and this is their last series, they're done after the Western Conference.
Which could be tonight.
Is that it? Or if he has 7 games, he's got the bald head for the next week. I don't know. I guess so.
Well, it's certainly entertaining.
It was entertaining. Yeah, it was
was.
entertaining. And I tell you what, the one thing that channel gets is they get people tuning in to watch those guys have fun before the game, and they surely do. And Paul definitely adds to that. And we know he's a Coyote at heart, so that part's very exciting for us as Coyotes fans to tune in and watch Paul and his crazy antics.
Yeah, and so many former Coyotes on that panel with Rick Tocchet and Wayne Gretzky. So it's a very Coyote heavy panel. Oh, speaking of entertainment, Dan said cough, dancing PD cough. Come on. I'm doing my bet on Friday. I'm going to eat the maple syrup.
Leah, I don't have the TikTok. Could you send me, what is the latest TikTok dance? Can somebody send me the TikTok?
The TikTok?
Yeah, on the TikTok. Whatever the new TikTok dance is.
How about everybody listening, tweet at us at PHNX_Coyotes with a link to a TikTok dance that you want to see PD do, or in the members only Discord.
Maybe at Times Square. Maybe at Times Square this week. I could do it in my PHNX shirt. I could do my TikTok dance. In front of Madison Square Garden or something.
That would be amazing. So tweet at us, write us in the Discord. What TikTok dance do you want to see PD do? Not the TikTok, just TikTok. Okay. Absolutely.
And then worst case, here's the worst case. I will be going probably to Denver and the DNVR bar where we have a lot more tech equipment and they have alcohol, so there's probably a good chance before I make it back to the studios at PHNX.
Okay, so before the NHL playoffs end, you will be doing the dance.
Okay.
It might be this round, it might be next round, but before you get back to Arizona,
I will not. Yeah. Even if I have to do it on the tarmac of the plane from wherever.
You imagine doing it on the plane, you would go viral.
I would go dancing up the aisle. I'll get somebody to hold my camera down. I never know. I haven't shown to have those kind of guts yet, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. As longer this goes, you might be surprised what I'm willing to do. Oh
my gosh,
I'm getting stir crazy too.
Well, PD, you have a lot of travel ahead. It's strenuous. You need to stay healthy on the road. It's hard to do that with restaurants and hotel room service. But I hope you brought your Athletic Greens with you.
Got my shaker.
And if you did, because it's so easy to use, especially because it's just the packet. You just put it in water, shake it up, drink it, and you're ready to go, getting all your vitamins. It's so great and portable, which is great for you because they do have travel packs as well. And I hope for the teams currently competing in the NHL playoffs, they're taking their Athletic Greens, and hopefully, for teams that are a little bit more injury stricken, it helps improve relaxation and recovery. So if you want to try Athletic Greens out, which you should, it's a no-brainer because, like I said, it supports better sleep quality and recovery. It has over 7,000 5-star reviews. It costs less than $3 a day. Plus, you're investing in your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/coyotes. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/coyotes to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. That disclaimer was so much better.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no phone numbers to call.
No phone numbers. Just athleticgreens.com/coyotes. That's it.
Fantastic.
Oh, man.
Gotta go, Leah.
Woo! Fantastic. All right. Well, before we head out, the NHL Combine was last week. Of course, we talked to JP Major last Wednesday. If you missed that, check it out. It was a really, really great, insightful interview just about what goes on at the Combine and about NHL training in general. And actually, JP did say he's had AthleticGreens and loves it.
There you go.
And
I
that
tell
was
you,
before we were on camera, he said that.
I trust him. Although, yeah, we're not going to talk about pizza and candy bars right now. When I'm in a hotel room, I get whatever I get. Right, I just had leftover chicken wings for lunch. That's what.
Don't tell him.
So I know, I won't tell him.
I hope you had your AthleticGreens this morning. But anyway, so the NHL Combine was last week, and Logan Cooley, who the reason I bring him up specifically is because he's the one that Craig Button and Corey Proman have said so far they think is going to be the one the Coyotes end up drafting. So, we've been talking a lot about him. He actually wrote a blog or journal for NHL.com. And in that journal, he said that he met with 14 different teams during his interviews. Arizona was among them. He said those were the ones that I felt were a little bit longer. Montreal, Arizona, and New Jersey were, and he said those three were really good to talk to. Every team was fun to meet. I also had dinners with the people from Montreal and Arizona, and they were real easy to talk to, he said. So,
is this kind of like your dating show from the UK? Is it kind of similar to that? You hold hands with the other team, and the dinner was good. We hung out in the hot tub after, and kind of like that.
They're deciding if they want to couple up or not.
Yeah. Do they get a rose? Do they not get a rose?
That's a different dating show.
Oh, I don't know. I get my metaphors mixed up, but you know what? We've talked about how important these interviews are and what the player says and thinks and feels, and the Combine's important to see their physical attributes. They already know what he is as a hockey player. How does he answer these questions? How is he in social settings? Is he a good kid? Is he a good person? Because when you're trying to make your mix of players, that's important. How's he going to fit in our room? Is he going to be a kind of guy that can help add to things we're trying to do here? Yeah, Charles Woodall-Pike, exactly. That's what reminded me of when
Love
you sent
Island
me that
NHL
note today. They all we went out to dinner. So tried to take me home, but so we'll see where it goes from here. I think that it's encouraging because if Logan Cooley ends up being the guy that the Coyotes take, I think that's a win-win for this team right now. I really like that pick, and you see what Dylan Guenther's doing in the Western Hockey League right now. I see it. Like I can see those two on a line together, and it's exciting. We talked about Clayton Keller walking already, which surprised us when we saw him at the Tempe City Council meetings. There's so many little things coming, and then don't forget, because we haven't talked about it in a while, Jacob Chychrun's still out there. Like it's still there's still a couple weeks left of these playoffs, but then all the attention's going to the draft, and there's going to be a lot of trades and trade talk leading up to that draft. And is that where Jacob Chychrun finally gets moved? We'll see. So, this mix of Coyotes, be careful, Coyotes and General Manager Bill Armstrong. Don't get too good too early. We need one more year. Leah and I and Craig can handle it. We've got we've got beer in the studio sometimes. We've got our button for the reminder.
We got pack therapy. We have the chat on YouTube. We have the members only Discord. We can
Twitter. Handle it another year. The fans are ready for another year of this. We got it. Don't screw it up and get too good too soon. And that's my fear is they're getting a really good mix here. But both Logan Cooley, he's another kid that even if you do draft him, he doesn't have to be here next year. So
no.
The Combine's been exciting. We've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about all these kids, and it kind of gives you, again, back to the key word. We just need a word that says hope. There's hope. And one of these kids maybe turns this around. And you know what, Leah, maybe 3-4 years from now, we're talking about the Coyotes in the Western Conference Playoffs again.
Please, I hope we can dream. We'll put it out in the universe now. The other thing, and Craig let us know this the other day via text, he is still out there somewhere in the mountains, but he did manage to send us a text. And according to Chris Peters, who, by the way, will be a guest live on the PHNX Coyotes podcast on Wednesday at 11 a.m. So we'll get some more draft expert knowledge from Chris Peters, making his second appearance on our show. But according to Chris Peters, Logan Cooley at the Combine measured at 5'10" and a half. So not quite 5'11" as he told Craig, but not quite 5'10" as was listed previously.
Yes.
But I still think there's room for growth for him. And, we've talked a lot about his size and whether or not, height matters at the center position and all of that. But I would be thrilled for the Coyotes to draft Logan Cooley or any of I think the Coyotes landing in the top 3 was everything.
And those three are all, Slafkovsky, Cooley, and Wright, all appear to be they're going to be really good players. So I think beginning in the top three was incredibly important. I think from 4 to 10, maybe there's I don't want to say a drop off, but a different type of player. I think you're going to see more defensemen go in that 4 to 10 spot, but the Coyotes don't need a defenseman at this point, I don't think. So I think any of the top three that we've talked about over and over again, I know when Chris Peters comes on Wednesday, we're going to ask him about the top three again and see if his top three match up to what we're hearing of the top three and what he thinks of Logan Cooley and what kind of a fit he would have here. Because everything now, we're going to wrap up the Stanley Cup playoffs here in the next 2 weeks, and then everything at PHNX is the draft.
Yep. Tons of draft content coming your way, including on gophnx.com. So it's a great time to become a member because there'll be videos that are only going to be behind the paywall, as well as, of course, all of Craig's reporting and writing and all of the great writers here at PHNX, not just Coyotes, but every sport as well, including both Arizona and ASU. So check it out. When Craig was already texting us about all the stories, I was like, Craig, just be on vacation. Like, it's okay.
I'm going to look at the pool too. There's the sun's still shining. I still have a little bit of daylight. Maybe I'll go ahead. But no, I'm not going to the pool.
Come on.
Do you see me being a pool guy? I'm going to go hang out and sit still for an hour? No. I'm going to the pool.
I can see you swimming laps just to get out some of your energy.
I might do that.
Then you'll take your third shower of the day.
I know. I'm going to have to. If I walk outside to get a newspaper and a coffee, I got to take a shower. This is absolutely ridiculous. And then I have to take one in New York when I go to work and back, just because it's New York. And I don't know what the hell I just stepped in on the way to the studio. But boy.
Well, anyway, become a member at gophnx.com. Sign up for an annual membership. Get a shirt when you sign up, or you can try out month to month and get your first month just 50 cents. Get access to the members only Discord as well. It's been a lot of fun hanging out in there. And of course, follow us on Twitter at PHNX_Coyotes. Like and subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your podcast. We'll be back tomorrow for an audio for another Trade Talk Tuesday. And we will be analyzing the Antoine Vermette trade because, we felt the first two Trade Talk Tuesdays were very the Coyotes clearly lost this one. So we're okay, let's do one that maybe was a little bit more positive. So we'll get into that tomorrow on audio. And then Chris Peters will be joining us live at 11 a.m. on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel on Wednesday. Craig will be back then as well. So looking forward to that one. Petey, any final notes before we sign off?
I just want to know, Leah, and as we do our show prep for tomorrow, have you started to go down the rabbit hole yet?
Not yet, but I can't wait. It's my favorite part of preparing.
Is an interesting web. There's more to it than you might think.
Love it. Can't wait.
There's my tease.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you on audio tomorrow, and have a great rest of your Monday.